G'day guys and girls, welcome back to another video. Today's the day that Zippy eats a red and white mushroom, grows some balls and goes stage 2. As you're probably aware, if you're a regular viewer, the car's got the Mountune MP215 map at the moment. Now, when I bought the car brand new, it was an option, so I got it. It was worth it at the time. It served me really well. Now that I'm doing more track days, I do want more, especially in first and second. Third and fourth on the bigger tracks like Sydney Motorsport Park would be fantastic as well, plus a couple of other little benefits that you get from stage 2. The process has been, you've seen me install the downpipe, the intercooler, the intake, rear motor mount. I've got the tyres, the springs. It's basically ready for stage 2 now. I've driven 6 of the most popular maps, especially in the UK, the most popular maps. I compared another 2 and I've made my choice, and we're going to do that today. We're going to upload the map to the car. I'm going to get some data first. You've got the draggy, you've got the Mountune handset. I'm going to measure it's map pressure on the Mountune handset, it's not boost pressure, but we're going to measure that in first, second, third and fourth, see where it peaks in each gear, and then we'll do it again after the remap. Now, the measure itself isn't important, being map pressure. The tools I'm going to use, being the Mountune handset, that's what's important. That needs to stay consistent, so we can definitely measure any gains. So we'll do that, we'll do some draggy stuff, and then we'll go from there. Just done a couple of runs in first gear. I did 4 actually, just from a very slow rolling start and then put my foot down. Had it in sport mode, so I'll have it in sport mode for each gear, and the boost peaked at 8.5 psi map pressure on the Mountune handset. So again, after the remap, we'll do a quick comparison of some first gear pulls and see if we gain some boost. Alright, second gear was actually a bit more of a gain than I thought. I don't know if you can see, but 10.39 PSI on the Mountune handset. So that's almost 2 PSI more. I actually thought it might be, 9 point something with the torque restriction in first and second. So interested to see what stage 2 does for second gear. Done some pulls in third gear. The most boost that it actually made was 10.78. So not much more than second really. Interesting to see where the extra torque comes from in third gear and whether there is a torque restriction in second gear. But it only made, 0.3 or 0.4 PSI difference on the map reading on the handset. Alright, so I've just got here, we're going to get the remap done. It's going on the dyno first. I'm going to see what it does on this dyno with the MP215. And then I can't record the run, but I'll show you the printout, and then we'll remap it. It's going to be Revo stage 2, so we're going to remap it to that, and then we'll do another dyno run, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright, so we're just writing the standard software from Revo onto the car now, and then we can put the stage 2 on there. Did an MP215 dyno run. Now it's set up as a rear-wheel drive dyno. He did say it does read pretty low, so I expected about 120 front wheel kilowatts. It got 108 on this dyno. There's no fan or anything because the front's facing the wall, and so I'm not interested in peak power. I'm interested in the difference between the MP215 and the stage 2. So if I can gain 20 to 30 kilowatts, that's sort of what you'd expect. So I'll report back once it's done. Alright, just come to a stop. This is my first time putting my foot down. We'll give it a go on first and second. This is where the difference should really be. Shit. Holy shit. Pretty good. That is just so different to the MP215 and standard. Just having all of that boost and torque in first and second, you've got it all. You got it in every gear now. That is amazing. That's amazing. Pretty happy with my choice. So we'll see how it goes coming out of some of these bends as well. Maybe we'll put it in third or something, even fourth. During that pull in first and second, I did notice quite a lot of torque steer, which was never there before. There's quite a lot of it. Wow, pulling out of a corner in third now. Yeah, that's a lot. Holy shit! Bloody hell! Alright, that is pretty mental. That is pretty good. I like that. Just want to talk a little bit about the dyno figures. Now, I'm not a believer in comparing dyno figures. However, when it's the same car on the same day getting a remap, then you can definitely talk about measuring the difference between those two maps. So at the start of the day, the dyno operator told me straight up, it's a harsh dyno, it's for front wheel drive cars, it never puts out anything close to what an owner expects. So it put down 145 horsepower at the wheels. So I mean, I wasn't too fussed about what that figure was in regards to how high it was, but what I did want to see is the difference in what it was after the stage 2. So I think it can measure the difference equally, but you know, if it's reading high or low, every dyno is going to be different, so there's just no point. So I did get 179 wheel horsepower with the Revo stage 2, so did gain 30 odd horsepower. He said most importantly it gained over 100 Newton meters of torque, so I can definitely feel that. This is not the same car that I drove in. You know, this is just ridiculous how fast this thing is now. Another thing that's important to note, especially if you're in Australia and thinking about Revo, he originally had the Performance B map loaded, which I believe on the Revo website it does say it's for 99 RON fuel. Now we don't get 99 RON readily available here in Australia, we only get 98, and I've always used BP 98. There's been no other fuel put in this car since I've owned it brand new. So it was actually pre-detonating, so it was pinging quite a bit. He obviously had it on the dyno, took it on a road test. He wasn't happy with it, so he said that he had to dial it back. Now, what he's done, when Revo upload their files, you get all the performance maps of stage 2, and the SPS switch is basically where you can select which performance map you want, but they can do that by the software as well. So he's actually dialed it back to the 95-96 map and just told me to run 98 fuel, just to prevent any pre-detonation. And if this is the second map down, if you guys over in Europe and the UK and whatever have got 99 RON fuel available to you and you get the map above this, that's crazy. It's just crazy how much better the car responds and how strong it feels, even on this Performance A map. It's just a little beast now. I thought it was good before, and the MP215 served a good purpose. It helped with keeping warranty, it gave me a little bit of a performance boost over standard. It's exactly what I wanted at the time. But now that I'm doing track days, I want, where does it stop? You always want a bit more. So, interesting to note as well, and hopefully by now I've overlaid the dyno sheet anyway. The MP215 map, at the low speed, putting your foot down, so the low RPM, the low speed, just flooring it and boosting, it was actually running very lean. and the Revo has now, this map in particular, the Revo is now running pretty flat, down where it's supposed to be, rather than running lean. So I was surprised at that, with Mountoon notably being one of the more conservative kind of maps. You wouldn't expect it on 98 fuel to be running lean anywhere, but there you have it. That's the important part of the dyno. So it's just a tool where the operator can sit safely, or as safe as possible, in the car without traffic around, without any distractions, and can really focus on what the car's actually doing. So just keep that in mind when you're arguing about dyno figures. But driving it, there is such an improvement over the entire rev range. It just pulls. The Revo Stage 2 software has a new rev limit at 7,000. I took it up past 6.5 there and it was still pulling. So just absolutely nuts. Safe to say I'm pretty happy with my choice. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that think that I should have gone with other brands, but no, I'm pretty stoked with it. So now we just need to do I can still use the Mountoon handset and get those boost comparisons that I did before at first and second, and some draggy times, and then I guess it's back to the track. So that's where this map's going to really come into its own. Hopefully I can maybe shave another second off just with the remap, at Luddenham at least. Fast forward a couple of days and I am loving Revo Stage 2. It's an absolute beast. So I'm out doing some testing with the Mountoon handset again, just to see the boost increase. Done my pulls in first and second. First gear now pushes 11.3 psi and second gear is a bit over 12 psi. It's roughly a 2.5 to 3 psi increase in each of those gears, which doesn't sound like much, but the way that it's making that extra torque is it just doesn't explain such a small increase in boost. It's just completely different. It's what you want from first and second when you're in a little performance hatch now. So yeah, I'm loving it. Remember that that's in map pressure as well on the Mountoon handset. I'm just keeping it consistent and using the same tool as I did before. So we'll go and do some pulls in third and I'll report back. So that was interesting. Between second and third gear, I didn't actually pick up much PSI at all with the Revo Stage 2. Kind of just goes to show that once you remove those torque restrictions in first and second, it's pretty on the money of where it's going to be. So it was about 12.13 PSI on the Mountoon handset. So that's as much as I can sort of legally test. So I'm not going to go any further than that. Maybe I'll do a drag day at Sydney Motorsport Park coming up and I can test a little bit more and, you know, a bit unrestricted. So anyway, definitely still picked up about 1 or 2 PSI in third gear over the MP215 map. Now, how that equates, I've done some draggy times as well. Took me ages to work out how to use the draggy. There's no instructions. But what I've done is 20 to 80 kilometers an hour and 40 to 80 kilometers an hour. Again, it's not breaking the speed limits on the road that I was on, but it kind of simulates some real world acceleration scenarios. So like if you've pulled out of an intersection, or if you've had somebody slow down in front of you and you're accelerating back up to the speed limit. Again, all with sport mode, all with second gear starting from 15 kilometers an hour on the draggy. So 20 to 80 with the MP215 was 4.15, and 20 to 80 with the Revo Stage 2 was 3.93. So what's that, 0.22 of a second or something gained there. And from 40 to 80 with the MP215 it was 2.52, and with the Revo Stage 2 it was 2.38. So again, what's that? That's 0.14 of a second or something like that. So yeah, so they are the real world gains for going to this Stage 2 map. that brings us to the end of Operation Stage 2. It's been pretty good. I mean, you've watched me install all the hardware. I want to thank Mitch for helping with the downpipe and some other bits that have helped along the way. Let me know in the comments what you thought I was going to pick, whether you thought I'd pick Revo or go with a different company. I kind of, it was up in the air for a little while of who I'd like to pick. You know, they were all my top 3 especially, which were Nexus Tuning, Revo and Collins Performance. They were all really good maps, and I knew that no matter what I picked I was going to be really happy with. I'll do a video in about a month's time, and I'll continue to drive the car, and I'll do a proper review of what I think of the Revo Stage 2 map, and I'll probably go into a bit more detail there as to why I chose Revo. But yeah, I just want to thank Pro Speed Racing up at Summersby. They were the authorised Revo dealer that I bought through. Infinity Performance, who had the dyno, which is basically, they're in the same complex. So that was pretty awesome. I want to again thank the guys that let me drive their cars to make the Stage 2 comparison video, which I released a bit before this. I'll put a link up. But yeah, everyone that's had any sort of input to me making my decision and how I've helped get that decision. So thank you very much, and thank you guys for watching as well. Stick around because there's still going to be more track days. I'll probably go to the drags, and in Australia that means drag racing. So I'll go there and see what quarter mile times I can do as well. So stick around, there's still more to come. Cheers guys.